What up, YouTube? I am your host, Mediocre Tutorials and Reviews, back in here with yet one more video, joined by a very special guest, Demetrius. Say what's good, bro.
What's going on? What's going on?
How are you, man?
What up, man?
Man,
looking forward to this.
Listen, man, as always, it's a pleasure to see you, man. I know you've had the opportunity to kind of look at some of the videos, and I know we always have dope discussions regarding purpose, regarding mental health, regarding, you know, looking inwards for your own validation as opposed to outwards for other people's validation. So I wanted to be able to have a true and authentic discussion, really honing in on what are the things in your life, what are the things in my life, and what are the things that you've seen with your mentors, people outside of your life, that has helped them to be purpose-filled and ambitious people.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So
yeah, this will be great. Yeah.
Yeah, man. No,
magic is about to happen.
Yeah. Magic is about to happen. So we have a Gary Vee video, so it's probably in the title somewhere, that we wanted to show. We just watched it real quick. It's real short, simple, and sweet, but I thought it would be a good conversation starter to get us going and on a flow. Anything to share, bro, before we get into this?
Yeah, I mean, I think the video says it all. It'll kick us off in the right place.
Yeah.
You know, when we think about who we are and how we function in society, I think there's a lot of things to unpack here.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so without further ado, let's just get in it.
I got something on my mind right here. I just put out a video, how to start, and I'm reading all the comments, and it dawned on me, I need to make the 2-minute version of the raw version of what I'm actually saying, which is quite simple. I'm making this video for one reason, so that you can link to it when people shit on you and doubt you. I am tired of people not starting and living their life on one very simple thing, which is they're worried about what other people think, whether that's their mom, their friends, and worst of all, fucking comments in social media. I mean, this is some 6th grade lunchroom shit. Are you really not gonna live your life based on somebody's anonymous fucking icon feedback that you suck? They fucking suck. They're straight fucking trash. That's why I fucking found a dumpster. Let them come to me. Let me make this video so that you can point to me so I can say to them very simply, are you serious, my man? Are you serious? Like, you literally have time to leave negative reviews on other people's shit? Is your shit so fucked up? Is it so sad that you take your time to allocate poison and negativity on other people's stuff? Get out of the way and let people do their thing. Now back to you guys who are watching this. It's enough. You've lived your whole life this way. It doesn't matter what they think. When you're fucking 92 and you're sitting there, you're not gonna give a shit about what Punkman 96 had to say, or even what your aunt had to say, who's miserable because she never got hers, so she's trying to keep you down. So very simply, please take the passion that is pouring out of my fucking face right now and run with it and go do something. If you need a little burst, here it is. Go do something, because the only thing that's holding you back is you're worried about what other people have to say. You give up on that shit and you're clean and you can go. And all of a sudden, it's not how much money you have or how much time you have. You just see that you can do it. Money and time ain't shit of holding you back compared to your worry about other people's opinions. Leave that shit in high school. It's time to go.
My man Gary went in, as always.
Enough session.
Mic drop. Listen, but this one hits home for me as well, because, you know, I'm on YouTube, bro. You know what I mean? And when I do certain videos, you know, you get all types of people that comment on different things. Everything from, like, the actual content of the video, whether positive or negative. But then they'll look in and project things that they don't like about themselves onto you as well. And I see it all the time. You know, and low key, I feel sorry if someone has the time and the opportunity to be able to, you know, project poison on the other people, you know, for whatever reason. But he kind of touched on 2 different lives here, right? Like your social media life, which has been created on the advent of Web 2.0, right? And then also your personal life, right? So he talked about your aunt projecting her inability to accomplish onto you, as well as like social media comments, this, that, and the third. So I just want to get your initial reactions on that, man.
Yeah, It's so, I had so many thoughts, right? Because as you touched on, there are these two different lives that people are dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Their virtual life and their real life, or actual reality.
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes an interesting phenomenon in this new day and age where what people have to deal with is so different, right? Because when I think about when I was a kid, and if I had social media, like I used to play basketball, and if I had social media and would look and see like what everyone else was doing, how much that would have changed how I did things, right?
Yeah.
For the positive and for the negative, right? Comparing like one of the big things in school was like clothes, right? So if I already didn't feel good because I didn't have like the Tommy Hilfiger at the time shirt, and how much further that would have been like just a bad place to be in, which we're seeing.
Right.
If I would have had social media at that time. So there's just so much to unpack.
Yeah, it's like, we were kind of thrusted into this, there's a lot of benefits. So in 2004, when Facebook came, I remember I was in college. There was no training on social media back then. It was just like here it is. And then you're like, listen, back in 2004, I'm dating myself a little bit, but back in 2004, I remember when Facebook was more of like a dating app. Yeah. Like I would go up on it and they had a selection of like relationship status, and one of those was like random play. Like legit, it said random play. So then I take that, I filter all the young women that were at the that were on campus and just start liking all their photos. You know what I'm saying? Like it's gone from that to what it is today. You can buy merchandise on Facebook, right? Like you can send out group invites to parties. Like it's taken a whole nother life, and there's definite benefits to it. But as well, man, like you get the inability to understand, what people project as their reality versus what is actually happening, and then also the inability to put it down, right? And you have like an influx of images and videos coming in, and some people it's straight entertainment, but then other people, it's a comparison tool.
Yeah.
And you compare like, man, like I have all these accomplishments, or I have this type of gear, but then you looking out at someone else, you're like, oh, but they have that type of gear.
Yeah. You have to, and I was telling you, we did a podcast recently on this 3-part series, and you have to ask yourself some really tough questions of why you're using social media, and really think about what purpose and what added benefit social media is bringing to your life, right? Like for instance, you talked about the comments that happen on your YouTube channel. Like, what does that do for you? Like, how do you manage that?
Listen, man, I tell you what, it's been a so listen, I did a video like 2 or 3 months ago. It was a dating video, and like I want to say it got like 1,500 comments. I want to say 35% of those comments were it was trash. And at first I was looking at it and I was just like, it is what it is. Like, I understand that some people are caught in the monotony of life, right? They have been in the matrix their entire life. They haven't asked questions. They haven't asked why. They haven't figured out their purpose. And they find themselves going to work, hating work, going back home, hating the significant other, going to their computer and just it's just their time, right? Because either they were voiceless in high school or they're voiceless now, and it has the opportunity for them to have a voice. So if you have a voice and you have time and you are mentally unhappy, it can come out in that, as spewing to someone else on the internet. And I think part of being a leader is being able to accept feedback, positive and negative, and with the added understanding that that's a lot of people's lives. There's a lot of people who have been caught in the matrix, they've been tricked into thinking that, you check each one of these boxes and then that would equal happiness. And they get to a certain point and they realize they're not happy, and this is an outlet for them. And they might treat me, even though I'm a normal dude, as the same way they'll treat a Cardi B when she posts something on her page and she's an actual star. You know what I mean? Like, there's no difference. It's just they want to have an opinion about something, irrespective. At the same time, too, a lot of their opinions, it's growth for me, right? And you could tell, and shout out to all my frequent commenters, all you hashtag alert game. I bang with y'all so much, and you know, there's only so much time in the day for me. So I look at all of the comments, all of them. So trust me, I see it. There's only so much time in the day, so I can't respond to them all. But I'm starting to recognize frequent commenters. So shout out to all of y'all, because there's some of those that give me constructive feedback.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But I internalize it and I don't get defensive, and I see how I can improve on that.
Yeah. It's data. It's just data.
It's data. Yeah. I take the data in and then do something with it. You know what I mean? So, but I think back to your question, the negative component of it, I think in my mind, it's gotten to, instead of being like defensive over something that you might see, it's almost like I feel sorry for them. Because listen, Michael Jordan is not on YouTube comments. He's not spitting negative stuff. You know why? Because Michael Jordan's dope. Like, he's dope. He's awesome. He doesn't have time for that bullshit.
He's busy.
He's busy. He's a busy guy. LeBron James, he's not doing that. My man Gary Vee, he's not doing that. Awesome people don't have time for that. They're usually too busy improving themselves or people around them, or focus on their goals.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think people can't become awesome. I think everybody has the capacity to be that way, but there's a choice. So you said something earlier that I think we need to touch on, because there was a lot that you said and we need to unpack.
Sorry.
Right?
Yeah. I go on. Yeah.
You good. It's like let's talk about this like really practically. And the first thing you talked about, purpose, right? Like understanding why you're using something, or like what you're all about, is like where you have to start. Because if you're not mission driven, purpose driven, like you don't really stand for anything, right? So it's easy for you to either, like, there are two, for me, there's two sides of this coin that Gary Vee talked about. It's like people who may have like an inkling of what their purpose is and being distracted, or using other people as an excuse, right? Because that's fear. And you are not doing something or not pursuing something because you're scared. It's not necessarily the other person, because no one can make you not do something. You have to internalize, you know, what that person is saying to stop you from actually doing something. And then two is the other side of that coin is you have no idea like what your purpose is, and you're trying to figure all this other stuff out, and it's such a complex area, right? Because you touch on something as well. It's like you have high achievers that they checked all these boxes, but they're not happy because they achieved some of these goals. It's like, all right, you know, I went to college, I got my MBA, I'm working this eight figure.
Like, 8 figure,
right? Yeah, you should be happy.
I'll be happy as shit. Yeah.
You have this 6-figure income. Like, you should, by all societal standards, be happy in some form or fashion, but you're not, because you're unfulfilled, and you've been looking and achieving these goals, but like it's useless because it's not attached to anything that's in your heart, right? So like, so how do you deal with that? And a lot of times it's like getting back to like, let's start over, start from scratch. That's very hard work, because you have to ask yourself some real tough questions. And a lot of people don't know where to start.
So a lot of people don't know where to start, and I think, and he brought up so many goddamn good points, D.
It's a lot here.
A lot of people don't know where to start, and fact of the matter is, I don't have a silver bullet answer for everybody, but I know it has worked for me. I think that there is and this actually happened to me recently in my work environment. I had to humble myself. I was going down a path. I saw myself going down a path in my 9 to 5 that I eventually would not be happy with. There was an alternate path that I could have gone down, but it would require me to humble myself, to learn the foundation of a career path that I need in order to progress forward. So for me, it was a humbling experience in realizing, what is my purpose? What do I more want to be tied to, so that later in life, I'm not looking back and having regrets or feeling like I am not fully committed and passionate about what I am doing, at least in that 9 to 5. So there's a humbling effect. I think that there's also it's also one of the most hardest things that you will ever do is to figure out what you're passionate about. To the degree of, I feel like it needs to be a subject in school. Like I feel like it needs to be, because how do you tell a 17-year-old, yo, you have to do all of these loans for something that you maybe want to do at 17 when you're a child.
And sometimes you don't even, so it's so complex, like, because, and this, we may differ here, but so there's oftentimes a confusion between what I'm gifted at and what I'm passionate about.
Ooh. And
what you're gifted at is probably where you need to make your money, and what you're passionate about, if it doesn't align with what you're gifted at, you probably need to have it as a hobby. Because what you're gifted at, what you're called to do for this world, like whatever,
how you make money,
like whatever you like. People have different belief systems, like spiritual journeys, paths, like whatever. And some people don't believe in anything at all. Like whatever that path is. Like a lot of people believe in having a calling in order to do something. Like for instance, sharing voices, understanding we need to control our narrative. It's partly something you're focused on, right? And it's something you're gifted at and bringing to the world. It's not necessarily. It may align with some of what you're doing at work, and it may not.
Right.
So understanding how you can work between those two things is very crucial, and understanding how you're going to go about figuring out what my mission is to have the joy, the happiness that I eventually want to have in my life. Right.
Right. Yo, that's so crazy. Yeah. So say it again. What you're gifted at versus
what you're passionate
about.
Sometimes it's not aligned. Right.
Sometimes it's not aligned.
I would say I will take a shot. I've done a lot of personality assessments. I've done all. You name one, I've probably done it. Right.
DISC.
Personalysis. Strength finders.
Yeah.
I've done the Hogan. I've done
Myers-Briggs. And a lot of these you can Google. Maybe I'll leave some in the description box down below. But there's one of them called 24personalities.com. It may not be that exact URL. I'll look for it. But it's like a Myers-Briggs, but they kind of rebranded it, makes it look different. So, but I already know what you're about to say, but I want you to continue.
No, so that can. I think that's a starting place for a lot of people, right? If you don't have an inkling of what you're gifted at and what you're passionate about, it can help you assess what your capabilities are and how you play and how what you naturally do, how it adds value to certain circumstances. And so I'm trying to make this concrete. So for myself, I consider myself a very strategic operational thinker, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes that, and I know I need a lot of information in order to move. So I personally know that I am slower when it comes to making decisions about business directions and the way we need to go. So I align myself with other people who are faster,
right,
so that there's a balance, right? So in this, when I build or when I see myself as part of a team, I know what I bring and how I can add value so that we can move in a very clear way forward. For instance, this is great for entrepreneurship, right? I'm naturally an entrepreneur, but I'm not a typical entrepreneur that society deems who the entrepreneur is, meaning that person that's leading, charging, blah, blah, blah. I am not that person. So I always make sure that whoever I'm working with, it sort of has that personality, so that they can appeal to the people who need that image for them to buy into what we're trying to build. So
what I hear you saying is that on your drive to understanding your purpose, you have to understand who you are. There's some natural inclinations that your biology has created. It's just how your synapses fire in your brain that determines what your personality is like, and that can be nurtured over a component of your life. And you might have a mentor that says, hey, stop doing that, start doing this, and you can kind of be a chameleon in that. But there's just certain things that you're going to biologically gravitate towards. You have always been a conscientious, data-driven dude. You need the inputs to make a step forward. What I hear you saying is that, well, there's some people that don't need all the inputs and they can just go and pick up the pieces later.
Yeah.
But I'm similar in the sense that I like data. I like to understand the different pieces to the pot, and it might take me a little bit extra time before I make a decision, but it's one that I think on the back end would alleviate cleanup.
Yeah. Yeah, like you want to do things right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
The first time.
And being in the complex world that we live in, is like you're not going to be right a lot of times, right?
Yeah.
So being able to be comfortable taking, like, given the information you do know,
Yeah.
and taking that leap, right? But that all comes from understanding who you are and how you operate.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, this might be another conversation, but I don't want this to get lost. At some point, and this kind of wraps back around to the spiritual journey. It's like some point, all of that is like an act / temporary / ego. So ultimately, I think the goal is to transcend all that, being able to flex. Like I'm getting comfortable being able to flex to like this hard charging, like let's just go based on like whatever information I have versus just naturally being in my comfortable state. So there's like a transition there that I think ultimately we want to get to.
Yeah, it's a leveraging, it's an understanding of who you are as a person, being a chameleon to flex to the time and the opportunity, being prepared for it, but then also leveraging the people around you to fill in the gaps that you may not be 100% comfortable with, or it's not your natural, and it's not what makes you happy. That's one of the things that I figured out in one of my personality tests, in understanding who I am and what I gravitate towards. And I think it was Strength Finders. Sure. And within this personality assessment, what they focus on is they say, if you focus on these top 5 to 10 things that are identified with your personality, you will be happy. And the bottom 30 to 40 things, it may not even benefit you to improve those things, sure. Right? Like the time invested and the effort needed to increase what those are may not be worth my happiness. But if I can understand what those things are and then get a team around me that are high on those things, and then we can play off of each other, it just helps me be more happy as I'm pursuing my purpose. You know, so it goes towards your network, it goes towards leveraging your network and being purposeful about who you are within that journey. Yeah,
because you said something I would like this. It's like, that's how you learn how to get better at those things. It's like you watch other people, like, oh, how did you do that? Like, what is in your constitution that made you make that decision? Yep. Like that's how I'm learning how to be able to flex, is being around different people with different strengths, so that if they are not around, then I can use that same constitution to push whatever I need to put forward.
Right, right. So, and you know, it's funny, what I was thinking about when you were talking is like, you know, that what we do, like we calculate, we need data, it takes us time. Ever more present now is an industry, a system of businesses that don't give you the time to make decisions. So you have to just go and then pick up the pieces later. You know, if you were a farmer 100 years ago, 150 years ago, you had an entire season to decide what you wanted to do. If you work for a technology company today, you have a week before the customer changes their mind, right? So like, it's just, you know, you have to bend and mold and shape to the time that you're in. And honestly, with technology this way now, it's only gonna get faster and faster and faster. So, all right, but bringing this back to worrying about what other people think, right? So it's like a double-sided coin. One, your social media, your internet personality, and the other one being your real personality. D, as if you've gone on your journey, and I already know what you're gonna say to this because you're not really a social media dude, right? But like, but as you have gone on your journey, what are the kind of tidbits that you can glean from your experiences to help people out there that are battling on improving either their social media presence or and how they deal with it, or as well as the naysayers in their actual life, their reality life. What have you done to set yourself on that journey in a way that makes sense?
Yeah, I think given what we just said about understanding who you are, and the reason why I don't use social media that often is because I'm easily distracted and I am a procrastinator, right? So I understand if I have access to all these like Snap, Insta, Facebook.
It's a lot of them.
There's a lot. Like I would not get anything done.
Yeah.
Because it'll just give me different ways to procrastinate. And so I have to, knowing who you are, knowing that I'm a procrastinator, and struggle with sometimes getting things done. I have to build systems around myself in order to safeguard like getting in these traps, right? So the only social media I do have is Facebook. So and it is on the last screen of my phone. Like I have to flip.
You gotta go to get
I gotta flip like 5 screens in order to get to Facebook, right? And that's very intentional and purposeful, right? And that's the lesson for me. It's like how do you be as intentional and purposeful as possible in like how you approach your everyday. So we said 1, mission, right? Understanding your purpose and knowing your mission. 2, and that will require you to do a lot of assessment under like asking yourself some really hard questions, right? Because there's a lot of and we can get into this, a lot of healing that needs to happen. And then 3, just being, once you learn what those lessons are, being very systematic about how you build your everyday to really be able to execute, right?
You touched on healing, bro. Sure. I want you to double back into that one.
Sure.
If you can expound on what you mean by healing, and then how do we solution for that? Sure.
So healing. So yeah, it's such a big component. And so I'm just thinking through how to address it. For we're 2 black men, and I am not gonna like stop there. Like 1, because I think it's very important for us as black men to heal and the whole entire black community. But outside of that, people in general, like going through this life, have to have a healing process. And so what do I mean by that? So there are a lot of either via life struggles. Me personally have gone through a lot of different life issues. For instance, mother very involved in drug addiction, single parent household, and family very disconnected, right? So I had to, and still going through the process of understanding all the impacts of going through that journey, how that impacted my life, and how I can then heal from that. So going through that process allows me to understand why I react in different situations the way I do. And like you a lot of times have an inkling, but you don't understand like why that is. Like why am I, my assessment, why am I like this? Right. What experiences were in my life that made me like this? Right. And so like reflecting on that helped me to say, all right, and healing for me is appreciating what happened for what it was, right? Like I can't change my past. Like I went through that for a situation, and that's why like faith and spiritual path and practice like means so much to me, is because I accept it for what it is. And I wouldn't be in the position that I am today if I didn't go through all the stuff that I went through my childhood, right? Right. So getting to that point of being very comfortable with what happened and just being able to be with it and sit with it, right? That is a space that it takes every day for me to like get to that point, because some days I don't wake up like that, right? So being able to heal from that is so crucial. And a common example for me is like just like to expound this. I know this has been talked about in in like a lot in terms of Nipsey Hussle, right? So for me that is the black community needing to heal from
Absolutely.
Generations of systematic oppression.
Right.
Right? And people not understanding, like, us being pit against each other is part of what all of that was, right?
Yeah.
And even now, like, our reactions to what happened is still like, all right, we as a people, it's not like I'm, getting to a place where we're not angry with each other, but understanding why things are happening the way they are.
The actual reason.
Right. And being able to heal, and because if we don't heal, we can't like make it to that next level in which,
or understand the actual reason why it's happening and not blame it on things that are hearsay, blaming it on an unidentified system that you believe currently exists, or not system, but like a task force. They. Who is they? Who is they? It's crazy. And I see all these videos and I get on these clicks, all these views, and then I see the comments and I'm just like, oh shit, we are far behind. And I hate to see it. I was talking to someone earlier today that I think, like, as a people, we are not as mature as a people because we've gone through so much for so long. We've had structures put in place to hold us down for so long. We've had laws created to hold us down. We've had, for so long that if you think of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we're at the bottom in aggregate. There's some of us who are not, right? But there's a lot of our people that look like us that are in the security protection phase because they're living in the hood in the middle of an affluent city, right? And it's just like, and that's because of the laws that were created 100 years ago. How long have we been voting, right? It hasn't been that goddamn long. It hasn't. So I say all that to say, that's why, and I was joking about it kind of earlier. That's why, you see so many white people doing skydiving and all these extreme sports, and they're going in the middle of this of the African safari, and they're touching jaguars and stuff like that. And as black people, we kind of laugh at it. We say oh no, we wanted this. But a lot of that is because they've reached this point of self-actualization where they have discovered their happiness. They have the funds and the monetary needs to have been able to do it for a long enough time where now they're just doing things to take up time, right? It's all of these things that you can see the maturities of a culture or society developed in the same country, but it changes dependent upon the laws that were created historically that have pigeonholed us to a standard for a certain amount of time. So, and I don't want to cut you off.
No, that was great because I oftentimes have a conversation about operating out of fear or survival versus operating out of this place of thriving, right?
Right.
And you hit on it. It's people. I definitely think that not just us need to heal, or us as a people, a human race, have issues that we have to get through. But there are certain circumstances where other people are able to operate out of this space where they're not fearful of getting to that the next meal, right?
Right.
I have to survive. And growing up in the hood, in which I did, that was what was taught, right? It was about protection and operating out of a space of let's just make sure that we can make it to the next paycheck, right? And trying to even now I still struggle, and I have kids now, I still struggle with getting out of the space of saying that's wasteful, don't waste that, you gotta eat that, right? And whereas operating out of space, it's great. I don't want my daughters to have this mentality that they have to operate out of this space of lack, if you will.
Right. Yeah. When you were talking, I was thinking of how could you expect a kid to be focused on learning if he's focused on his next meal?
Yeah. No,
and that's where and that's just and that problem is not just specific to people that look like us. It's a nationwide problem. It's getting way better than what it was decade after decade. But it's
way better. Oh, I'm sorry, way better than what?
Than in our past.
Well, so
like the nationwide poverty rates, worldwide poverty rates are on an incredible decline. Murder rates, only thing that's kind of going up is suicide rates, which is actually that might be a different discussion.
I mean, it's related, right? We like the other side of this coin is that virtual reality. We haven't touched on it much, but how people get caught in that loop and the depression is augmented, right?
Explain more. I don't know if I'm capturing.
So a lot of times when you use social media, you're not using it like you're using it passively, right? You're not thinking about why you're using it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that leads to a comparison, right? So you're going on social media like, oh, this person has this. Oh, they're having a great vacation in the Bahamas. They're in Hawaii. Like, why am I not doing anything? I'm not doing enough. Or, I start working harder. I got to do this. I got to do that. And you're like, my life isn't enough, right? And it's just creating further and further separation from like, actually your life is enough. And so that lack or that not enoughness augments like what has already systematically been there in terms of depression, right?
Oh,
so it's
I see.
like mental health. So so you go on your, I think we talked about this a little bit. You go on your virtual reality looking for a place where you feel more empowered and stronger, and then when you get on there and you start comparing, you're not right. It's like, oh, I don't have this, I don't have that,
right? And
your life already sucks because you're not fulfilled with anything that you achieve, or you're still trying to make it paycheck to paycheck, and then you're seeing this gap, right?
Right.
So you get stuck in this place of like really real despair. So in a lot of cases, and we're starting to see studies come out now where we see social media just augmenting the rate of depression, which leads to a lot of times suicide rates, right? So and that's, I think it goes back to like asking yourself really, really hard questions in terms of why am I engaging in the world in which I'm engaging in the world? Why am I engaging in social media?
Right.
In this way and that way.
The thing is that like if social media was true, right? Like if people purported things truthfully, then it would be a truthful augmentation. It would be an augmentation that's based in complete and utter reality. Yeah. And then it's like it's a kick in the butt. Like, damn, like they are really doing all of these crazy things. But just like they can augment their faces through these filters to make themselves look different. You see that new Snapchat? I don't know if you see a new Snapchat thing. You can make a girl look like a guy and a guy look like a girl.
I think I saw a Facebook post.
Oh man, like if they can augment your face, trust me, they can augment their lives. I was looking at a video of the other day, and this dude who's like really good with Photoshop, he said for like a week and a half, he was gonna act like he was a multi-millionaire, and he posted all of these posts of him being photoshopped next to celebrities on jets, and he was like comparing his like rate before versus like rate after. It was really interesting stuff, you know what I mean? But it goes to show that you are perhaps looking at this information feed, which is augmenting kind of your perception of your place in life, but it's not a true representation of where society is, or where that person is, or where that industry is, or what have you. But if it did, like, because there's some components of it where it's good to have a kick in the butt, like it's good to have a dose of you're not working hard enough, and he is, and he's succeeding. Yeah. There's a good component of a kick in the butt. Where it breaks down is the degree of augmentation due to the inability of folks to tell the truth, or maybe it's just not trendy for negative things to happen.
Authenticity.
Authenticity.
Yeah. I think it's so, like, in terms of asking yourself why you're using social media, you have to understand who you're following or who's in your circle, right? Because it's good to get a kick in the butt from you. Like, because I know you, and I know if I am not on social media, I'm still going to be your friend. Or, and it doesn't have to be that type of relationship, but that's part of it, right? But versus, versus getting a kick in the butt from LeBron James. Like and what he's showing might be real, right?
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't care, right? Versus trusting some other person that is showing something that probably not real, right? Mm-hmm. Like, let's go to body comparison, right?
Yeah.
A lot of like Instagram, all these
steroids,
like between steroids, airbrushing,
Photoshop.
This stuff, as Khaled says, you're a liar. Right? It's not real. And
most of them. But honestly,
who do you trust?
Yeah, but honestly, but that industry is just ripe for faking it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, this is not the 80s no more, where they'll sign up for a fitness class and the dude has a Richard Simmons body. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, they don't do that no more. Like it's not.
I don't believe you. I don't trust you.
No, I don't believe you. I don't trust you. But now it's like, you want to see the aesthetics, but people are not informed. Like, I take photography, bro, and I will make a 6-pack come out if I need to. If I don't want to enhance the photo, I can make that thing pop. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just a component of the industry. Yeah. You know what I mean? But you see that, you're like,
yeah.
And you might even see that and be like, that was just with this dude last night. He was eating a whole bowl of ice cream. Like,
where'd that come from?
That's what I'm up against out here. You know what I mean? So, yeah. All right. So listen, man. So we are a significant way through this video. I feel like we could keep on going, but if we did, we're taking up content for the next one. I feel like we definitely have to continue this. We definitely have to continue the discussions about purpose, mental health. Yeah. Worrying about what actually matters in life, because if you do things like that, it will get you on a quicker path towards happiness and purpose.
Awesome.
You know what I mean? Anything to share real quick? I know you've been working on a podcast. Anything to share?
Yeah, like we have my podcast that I've been working on with two of my other good friends, Everyday Valor. You catch us on iTunes, podcasts, and Google Play. And we had a 3-part series on social media and visualization, which captured a lot of this stuff in terms of practical steps to how to use social media. So a lot of things that we talked about today, it's kind of like we did a summarized version of some of those things. So
dope.
Yeah.
Dope. Awesome. Well, D, listen. As always, family. When kings unite, this is what happens. You know what I mean? Well, we definitely gonna continue the discussion. I think I just remembered I have a playlist called, I think it's called the Purpose Cast. I'm gonna add this one to the playlist. Go and check out the other videos that's gonna be on that playlist. Favorite, that video as well, so you can come back and see other things that we upload. But we definitely gotta continue this conversation. All right.
All right.
Listen, questions, comments, concerns, leave it down in the description box down below, and I'll try my damnedest to get back to y'all. All right, appreciate the support. Please continue to do so, and don't forget to share. All right, until next time, y'all.